Welcome to the Soulish Podcast. My name is Whitney Apke, and I'm your host. On the Soulish Podcast, we talk about the soul journey as well as the body soul spirit connection. I bring on guests who are from the health industry, spirituality, religion. They're psychics, past life regressionists, astrologers, health workers, or even body workers. There's so many different types of speakers and guests that I've had on. It's just been amazing, and we're in the hundreds finally, and it's taken about 2 years and a couple months to get there. And I'm just so privileged to have you as a listener. Thank you so much for popping on to this episode. Thank you for watching any other episodes that you've watched. It's just such an honor to provide you with maybe some entertainment, but also just conversations that are inspiring and encouraging, uplifting, that help you in your soul journey. That is the ultimate goal, whether it's a solo episode like this one or a guest episode. It's really just to benefit you in your soul journey. Maybe even give you food for thought, maybe on something that you've never even considered or thought about. Maybe it's something that you have and it gives you more information or it inspires you to dig deeper. I think all those things are so important in our soul journey. And so it's just an honor and privilege to provide that and in service to humanity. And I just can't get enough of it. So today, I'm going to be sipping on tea, some echinacea tea, during the episode. Please, I hope this isn't a distraction, but we can officially call this episode "Spilling the Tea." Hopefully, I don't spill any because that would really burn. But I had a crazy week, and astrologically, this week was nuts. It hit me funny. Now, I'm a Cancer sun, a Pisces moon, Aquarius rising. I don't know if it was the Aquarius aspect because of some of the transits that were happening and some of the impacts, but or maybe it's my Pisces. I'm not sure, but woo, I took a nosedive physically, and I love those opportunities though, because it's a great opportunity to hit snooze, to rest. And to be honest, my aura ring, you probably see this on me all the time. I never take it off. I love this aura ring. It's like one of my favorite things that I own because it gives me bio data, and it's specifically taking the most data when you sleep. So it talks about more about your recovery, which helps you to know like how hard to hit it the next day. And my aura ring has been telling me for a while, like, oh, you've increased your activity like almost double. You should definitely prioritize rest, definitely make sure you're balancing that out. Did I listen? No. No, I did not. I like went full speed ahead and just kept up with the same schedule. And it finally caught up to me. And it's funny because I had someone ask me if I had COVID, and I just was giggling to myself because I'm like, no, none of this is COVID. I mean, that makes no sense. Why would I get COVID? Like, what is COVID? But I just was like, no, I've literally ignored my body, and I've worked out like a shit ton, and I've like not rested as much, and I've been out walking, which has just been like amazing. I love it. But doing that plus hardcore Pelotons plus working like 12 hours a day, um like that's going to catch up to your body eventually, and I knew it, and I didn't listen because I was like, no, I have to like get this done. And that's just what happens. And this is your body's way of saying like, okay, you need a rest. And so it's just kind of turned into a week of rest. I also got adjusted by my chiropractor who's been on here, Dr. Darren, and it was some wild adjustments, man, and those took me for a loop as well. So I think it was like a combination of everything. And no, I don't have COVID. Haven't ever had COVID and don't have COVID. But so I'm just taking care of myself and just drinking echinacea tea, eating really well, eating really clean, and just taking my time. And so I definitely didn't want to skip an episode. I definitely wanted to have this chat because this episode today is on a topic that I've kind of been hearing a lot of my friends or colleagues talk about. And we talk about this often because there is this idea that, I know like ACIM talks about the illusion, right? This is all an illusion. Or what's commonly known as the matrix, in the spiritual world or culture, society, community. Um, and I think it's really interesting when I hear people start to talk about escaping the matrix, breaking out of the matrix. We got to break out of it, got to escape it. And I just think that's really an interesting sentence, thought, idea, belief, way of living. I think it's really interesting. Hello, Soulish Tribe. So I know that I'm not alone and always feeling thirsty. Even though I hydrate throughout the day, I'm always feeling that I need more water, especially after those cycling classes. My friends James and Mark over at Zaka have the perfect solution. Zaka's Hydration and Liverade is the #1 recovery and hydration solution for working out, jet lag, or drinking maybe just a little too much. Zaka uses herbs such as Japanese raisin as well as other natural and fermented ingredients that are safe and without artificial flavors. Zaka is unique because it doesn't just replenish what your body needs, but also supports your body's natural ability to recover. It's 2 very, very yummy and berry chewable tablets that you can put under your tongue or chew up and swallow. Go to Zaka.com, that's ZACA.com, and use promo code SOULISH15 to get 15% off of your order. Hope you're enjoying some tea and coffee while we chat. So here's my thoughts on this. I came, as y'all know, from a Christian background. So my Christian background, we believed in the rapture. We believed that we would one day soon, most likely in my lifetime, definitely likely in my lifetime, would get caught up into the clouds. Our clothes would drop, we'd be suddenly naked. And, as a spirit body or whatever. But of course, our body would be gone too. It's not like we would drop to the ground like our physical body with our clothes. Like, no, our body leaves, but our clothes remain. That never computed for me as a kid. But I think it's really interesting because I always kind of wondered what the point was with the rapture. I knew it was because the Antichrist was coming, right? And so to escape the awfulness of the Antichrist taking over the world, persecuting the Christians and all of that, that basically that was God's mercy and grace for someone who was not an active sinner, for someone that truly devoted their life to him and, in service to God and all of that, and was a good Christian, that you would have mercy shown on you and you would not have to live through that and whatever that is. And so, I watched episodes, Aaron and I, my brother and I, we would watch the movies Megiddo, Armageddon, like not the one with about the astronauts going to the moon or asteroid or whatever. But like it was like an actual spiritual movie of like the Antichrist coming and the Battle of Armageddon. In the Valley of Armageddon, right? And then we of course watched like the Left Behind series, and we were obsessed. I think we watched Megiddo alone like maybe 20 times in like a couple days. We rewatched that until my mom told us we couldn't watch it anymore because we were studying it. We were taking it in and we were literally studying it. We didn't tell each other that's what we were doing, but we kind of just knew like we're studying this so we can memorize this and like know exactly what to do and what the signs are so that we don't miss it. Um, and we just found like eschatology fascinating. I think both Aaron and I have always found eschatology fascinating. And one of my favorite books that I read actually after college, after ministry school, um, my brother actually told me to read this book because he was already starting to unbox things. And I was very much still indoctrinated in the belief, of like hell, heaven, and all of that. And so he's like, wait, you should read Victorious Eschatology because it'll change the way you view the end times. And I was like, okay. I took 9 months and I studied that book cover to cover. I would go into the Bible because I already had read the Bible like 5 times to cover. But I went back through and would read the scripture references in context. Like I would read paragraphs um, around whatever that verse was that they were pulling out and saying, like, here's your proof, blah, blah, blah. And it was an amazing account of Josephus, which was a Jewish scribe that the Romans either enslaved or hired. I don't know which one really, but like, did he really do that by choice, or was that against his will? That's up to him. I don't know if we can prove that, but or maybe some scholar knows more than I do. But Josephus basically was there when the Roman army, General Titus, surrounded Jerusalem. And they surrounded Jerusalem, I think it was for 2 to 3 years. I don't know if they made it to the 3 year mark because the body count was just insane. Um, and they locked all the Jews in Jerusalem and starved them out. And anyone that tried to escape, they'd, like, chop off a limb, throw it over the fence, throw it back over the wall, just to warn people, like, we're not letting you out. Like, we're guarding this 24/7 for 2 years, and it's like 20,000 soldiers, Roman soldiers. So anyway, it's really interesting because everything that Jesus prophesied about that day happening, in the destruction of the temple, the taking over of Jerusalem, blah, blah, blah. He said, there will be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Woe to pregnant mothers in those days, because Josephus even said, and this is really graphic, FYI. So plug your ears if you're not down to hear it. But Josephus even, you can read it. He even described seeing babies being cut in half and cooked, and people fighting over, the other half while one half is being cooked. I mean, people eating corn out of poop, just so desperate, and then shaking the child who found a kernel of corn in poop and had almost swallowed it, and he pulled the kid up and started violently shaking him, trying to get the kernel of corn out of his mouth so that he could eat it. And so just, starvation beyond what we could ever even think or imagine. um and and just horror, just absolute horror. So when the Roman army finally went in, um Josephus described that there was no ground. I mean, it was all bodies. The horses would trample over, walk over. The carts, of the Roman army would roll over bodies. I mean, there was no ground. It was stacks of bodies. And because it was, millions of Jews stuck in Jerusalem, the city, within those walls. And there was an antichrist that had risen up. There were several, which is what Jesus had said. He had said there will be several antichrists. Sorry, y'all, I can't talk. Several antichrists that are going to rise up. And because he was telling them, like, these are the signs that this is, like, about to happen 40 years from now. Exactly 40 years from when Jesus prophesied, that is when this all happened. So, funny fact, there was no Christians that were in Jerusalem at that time. They had all fled. Um, and so basically what happened and how I came into being, which is kind of interesting, is who was left, the Roman army took and enslaved. And it's really unfortunate, but those Jews, some of those Jews would get strung up on a pole, dipped in tarp, and lit on fire for a party as entertainment. They would get sewn up in the carcasses and in the colosseums and get eaten alive for entertainment. They'd become slaves to be servants for the rest of their lives, if they're lucky. Um, and a lot of Jews I know did escape, and that is how I became, like, I come from a line of Ashkenazi Jewish descent. So I'm German Jewish, and that's the region. Ashkenazi is the region where my Jewish heritage technically comes from. So that's really cool, but that's part of how it even happened because, I mean, I don't know if anyone knows, but, like, I'm sure you do, but I didn't even really know this, that Israel, I think, became a country again back in 19, was it 45? So before that, they were kind of scattered everywhere, and they just kind of came back together. Um, and Israel was finally recognized or reinstated or whatever you want to call it. I'm not sure of the proper term. Sorry. Um, Someone's gonna correct me on that, but um, it's really interesting. It's really interesting to hear the history and the fact that there was antichrist, and so here we are as Christians nowadays, and we're thinking that all of that Jesus prophesied is going to happen. And that was kind of what that book really illuminated to me, was that these prophecies that Jesus spoke, these are all things that already happened. Like, this is not gonna, the destruction of the world, which is a lot of translations, because back in the day the world was the Middle East, the world was that region, everything around the Mediterranean Sea. And so I think like that was their world. That was trade. That was where everyone was. And so that's all they knew. But we of course translate that literally, like it's the whole world now, but it's actually like, no, that's not what Jesus actually meant. And that's not what actually happened. And everything Jesus prophesied already has happened. So what next? And so it definitely gave me food for thought, and it started my journey kind of walking out of the Christian beliefs or things that I had been taught or told or learned or thought, or just programming, conditioning, all of that I had just grown up in, like we all do. Not necessarily a bad thing, but that's when it started to cause me to question things. So I say all this to say that it's interesting to have a concept of the matrix, because as a former Christian religious person, I hear that and or see that on a meme or something or someone's post, and I think interesting, that's very similar to the concept of the rapture, where like we're in something that we don't want to be in, or something that's happening or gonna happen, and we want to escape. We don't want to be a part of it. And so here's my thought around that. Whether or not you believe in reincarnation, if you're religious, if you're Christian, if you're spiritual, if you're atheist, agnostic, whatever you are, I think it's a really interesting thought to just kind of sit on and say, why, or what about me or my life do I want to escape, and why? Why do I have this need to not be in it? Not be in the mess, not be in the journey, in the challenges, in the struggles. Why am I having this desire to escape this, to numb out, right? I think that's very much our culture in general, is to numb out, whether by using drugs, TV, anything like that. Um, we kind of naturally lean towards like, if that's pain, I would prefer pleasure, over pain. I would prefer even nothing over pain. And so we don't automatically choose struggle. We don't automatically choose challenge. We don't automatically choose to suffer or to experience pain in our life. But I want to just kind of say that that is, I believe, partly why we came here. And what I've been feeling more and more in my heart, y'all, and in my soul on this journey that I'm on, that I know you're on too, is I came here to face it. I came here to experience it. I came here to live it, right? So why would I run from that when I'm just, if you believe in reincarnation, which I always sprinkle a little salt on that, like who knows? But why would I want to escape something that I chose to experience for a reason? Like, why would I want to tap out now, um, when I came here for this reason? And so all that to say, I get the other part of what people are saying of like, wake up, don't be asleep, don't be a sheep, don't just like listen to what the mass media is saying and take it as fact, and don't just not question things. And I get that that's like also in part of what people mean by breaking out of the matrix. But there is this escapism, this rapture mentality in the spiritual community around that, that I think we need to acknowledge, we need to recognize it and acknowledge it and heal that, because it's still the same thing in a different costume, in my opinion. And I think that when we go into that space of wanting to escape, that we forfeit our opportunity to really dig deep into truth, healing, freedom, connection, and we end up numbing out. And that lesson or that challenge or that opportunity is going to keep happening in this life or your future lives until you face it. So it's like, no, let's not do that. Let's not numb out. Let's not tap out. It's kind of like a workout. There are challenges where you kind of get to that point of exhaustion, right? And you have an opportunity to push in that workout and to even see if you can lift heavier or go longer, or like on my Peloton, turn up the resistance just one more level, just two more levels. Like, can you handle it? Can you handle the burn just one more level up? One more. And that's what I love about it, because it's such a good reminder to me of like, man, I'm really uncomfortable, and this is hard. Like, I kind of am suffering. And I'm choosing to suffer here on my Peloton. And first thing in the morning. But why? Why am I choosing that? Because it's just going to make me stronger. It's going to build muscle. It's going to make me stronger. And so I love, Jesus said, be in the world, not of the world, right? That we are in the world, not of the world. We're meant to be that. Maybe it was Jesus or Paul or Peter or someone. Sorry. Um, but I love that. It's such a great reminder. And I feel like that truth transcends religion, and it's just truth, you know? And it's so true that part of the matrix is that we are meant to experience the matrix. Now, does that make the matrix true? Does that make the matrix our reality? No. Or the place that we have our being? Not necessarily. But we can still be in it, but not of it. We can know the truth of everything that's been going on in the world. We can be seeking out truth, continually seeking, which is what I'm doing. I've never like I don't think I'll ever honestly ever land ever again and say this is the absolute truth. I think I'll always be searching out truth and perspectives and ideas and chew on them and see where they sit in my heart and in my soul. And I just want to encourage you guys to do the same. But I think that part of this journey is to recognize that we are here to experience this, not to escape it, not to tap out. We're human. We're gonna tap out. We're gonna numb out. We're gonna have moments of weakness or just not wanting to talk about it anymore or listen to it anymore. And I think it's great to take breaks and to go do something creative, go draw, go do some art, go create music, or something, create something, do something outside of the box or the norm, or get out in nature and just breathe. um to be holed up in your home and researching stuff all the time, I mean, that can burn you out really quick. But I think it's so important just to be willing to be on the journey and to not leave the train. Um, but that is part of our journey sometimes, is the getting, falling down and getting back up. And whether or not you see it that way, or you see it as just like another, like a detour to the journey, you're just kind of going a longer route on this part of your life, like that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You're not missing out on anything. And I think that's another thing too, is FOMO, missing out on truth, missing out on opportunities. But really, truly, our journey is just meant to be lived. It's meant to be experienced. It's meant to be lived. And so we came here for a reason, right? Is my belief, regardless of incarnation, or, whether you believe that you incarnate all the time, or or not, like, reincarnation, or you have a one-time shot. But regardless, I think it's so empowering to believe that we came here and we chose this life and we chose these experiences. We chose these karmic influences and connections, just even astrologically, like when you're born, and the astrological lines, like oh my gosh, sorry guys, astrocartography, when you see like the planetary lines and where it's best for you to even live depending on what you do, and all of that. I think that it's really cool to see that setup and to see your chart, your Vedic astrology or Western astrology chart, even to see it and to see how specific, your timing, the place of birth, like how many things had to align for that moment to happen, and for you at that exact hour, minute, and place for you to be born. um and for all of these energies to be making you up and surrounding your life, and to provide challenges and support in different places. I mean, it's not by accident. You just can't think that it's by accident. And I don't necessarily believe, although I think it's a co-creation, but I believe that I chose exactly the day, the time, the hour, the minute, the second. I decided where, with whom I was born. And I decided that for a reason, because I wanted to have the energetic makeup that would support my journey, to support my soul incarnating right now in this time, to be a part of this matrix, to be a part of this world, right when all this stuff is happening, right when everything is going down. I came here for a reason. And I've had a few conversations with people, including my mom, and um even with friends that are like, dude, I don't want to come back. I'm like, I don't blame you. I mean, I've never even thought of that, of like, I don't want to come back because I'm just staying neutral. But I totally understand that thought of like, man, if I incarnate, I don't want to incarnate back here again. Like, this is awful. And the truth is that anywhere that you incarnate, even if you incarnated with the Pleiadians, the Arcturians, the Venusians, the planet Sirius, you landed there. Like, no matter where you end up in your next incarnation, there are still going to be challenges. There are still going to be things that you're going to experience that are going to be difficult and hard and not easy. And so, just having that mentality that we could escape, or that we could, not incarnate back here again and never have to deal with this ever again, never have to go through these painful experiences, suffer, or just even have a difficult time. Like, unfortunately, that is this third density. This third density is not easy. If you read the Law of One, which I'm actually getting through it again, I need to finish it. But if you read the Law of One, or just from what you read there, you can understand that the third density is the shortest density. This is not going to be a long density, y'all. And the hard part is the choice. And that's ultimately why we're here right now, is because, I mean, gosh, people in the last 3 years have had a major opportunity to make a choice. And we can judge, people's choices and beliefs and whatnot on how they responded to this whole thing. But ultimately, we all have a choice to make. And that's why we're here. And we get it for, I think the Law of One says 25,000 years is 3D, third density. So the rest are millions, millions and billions of years, in that density. So this is the shortest, but this is the roughest, because it's the choice. It's the choice of, what are you going to choose in your life? Are you going to choose to polarize to service to others or service to self? And that's where I've kind of looked at this escapism as, seems very self-centered. Does that make sense? And I don't mean that in a judgy way. I just mean that I think it's very self-centric and not community, service to others centric, of a thought or a belief or a desire. And that's where I've like sat on that for myself, of like, how do I feel about that? Where does that sit in me? And I was like, man, if I want to escape, that means I don't want to be a part of the collective. I don't want to be a part of helping the collective get through this difficult time. I don't want to be a part of raising awareness. If I want to escape this and I don't want to be here, then I'm actually kind of tapping out, not just for myself, but I'm also tapping out on the collective. And I do believe that everything we do influences the collective. I think we're one. I think that that's the whole point of law of one, by the way, is that we're all one, that everyone affects everyone. And as we raise our own individual consciousness, um, we help raise the collective, we influence, right? So I actually think it's a really interesting, and there's so many other like spiritual beliefs or ideas or things that are thrown out there that are like popular memes and discussion points and whatnot in the spiritual community that are also still very self-centric, and it's like we're missing the point. The point is the collective. Like, yeah, we are all about individual journey, and individual journey is everything. I mean, that's the podcast, the soulish podcast, but it's so important for us to know and to understand and to, I think, live from a place of understanding that everything we do impacts others, and we can't escape that no matter what we choose. And so to escape is to tap out. To escape is to forfeit our opportunity to heal, to find freedom, to connect, um, to even conquer challenges um, and right karma, and all those different things that we've experienced in past lives, even if you believe that. Um, but it's like I don't want to miss out on that. I really want to live my life aware, awake, which I agree with, waking up, aware, conscious, um, and be really mindful of my decisions, my thoughts, my words, because I know that it not only affects me, but it affects the community that I'm surrounded by, the collective, which I am very much a part of, and I can't escape that. And a lot of the collective is wrapped up in the so-called matrix. They are wrapped up in the story that the media, mass media is pushing out, government's pushing out, world is pushing out, and they're eating it up like a New York pizza. So I think that it's really important to just understand that and have compassion, as well as stand for truth, speak up, and to, I mean, I think just really send out love to those that are quote unquote lost or caught up in it. That is part of their journey. And I love honoring everyone's journey. Like, that is part of my favorite thing about my own journey, is that even though I came from religion and I do agree with a lot of the morals and the values around Christianity, like, I don't think it's all bad. Um, but there's some things that I definitely don't really agree with, or it doesn't sit right in me anymore. But that doesn't mean that I judge someone who still believes that, or is there, because that was me at one point in time, and we all need that. Like, I needed my upbringing, I needed my journey, I needed every bit of it, and I wouldn't take it back. I wouldn't trade it for anything, because it's part of what made me me. And so I think it's really great for us to honor each other's journeys, at the same time speak what we feel is true, speak it in love and compassion, have the conversations. Like, they don't have to be heated, doesn't have to be a debate. Why debate? Like, just consider ideas and shoot around ideas, in a safe way, in a safe place, in a safe container, with people that believe different things than you do. And I think that's like really healthy. That's what it's all about, because even if someone doesn't agree with you, that seed is still planted, though, like, for them to be thinking on later. And that's how I ended up where I am now, is like people kind of deposited little seeds of thoughts and ideas and concepts, and it caused me to go home and ponder and wonder, huh, if that's true, then what does that touch? What does that affect? How does that change things for me? And how does that change my life? How does that change who I am and what I do? And that's what led me to where I am now. So I just want to encourage you guys with that. Breaking out of the matrix, although it's a very popular thought, belief, meme, I think that we need to be careful with how much we talk about escaping, how much we emphasize leaving this world. We came here for a reason. We chose here and now, and we chose this place. And our soul may not have known like everything that was going to go down. Maybe it did. I have no idea how that happens. But I do know that we chose it and we're experiencing it and we're here. And in order to not repeat, said lessons, in order to not repeat these experiences and to win these challenges and overcome and get stronger and wiser and full of more love, we need to be in it. So, will you be in this with me? I hope you will. And I hope that this conversation was inspiring. Thank you so much for sticking with me with my tea. We spilled some tea. We definitely spilled some tea in this episode, and I love you all so much. Thank you again for listening. Thank you again for honoring me with your time, which can never, be given back. And I just really appreciate the support and the subscribes and the likes and all of that in the comments. So please, if you haven't, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's ever growing. I started that a little later, maybe a year ago. And if you're listening on Spotify, Google Play, or any other platform, please follow, subscribe, and rate and review. Help me get out there. I really need the help. I need your support. I can't do it alone. And so I'd really appreciate a review or a rating or anything like that just to help me grow. I really appreciate you, really appreciate this community, the Soulish tribe, Soulish fam. You guys are amazing. And comment below, man. Let's have a conversation about this. I would love to have a conversation with you guys about the matrix and everything, and continue this conversation. So I just wanted to start it with you all today in this episode. So love, love, love to you, and peace in this time. And I hope that you just kind of come into this place of full authenticity and peace in your journey, and knowing that you are protected and guided, and how you live your journey is sacred. Your soul journey is sacred. So don't trade it for anything or anyone else. I love you all.